Good morning, everybody. Dave here on this Tuesday, March 4th, 2025. I've got all of your news for your rush hour ride to work. And on today's episode, we're going to discuss what might be the worst speech ever. I've talked about it for a few days now. Adrien Brody won an Oscar, but he delivered the longest speech of all time. And was it the worst? We're going to hear from a speech expert. Also, Mikey Madison talks about winning her first Oscar. A relative unknown beat out Demi Moore, and some people aren't okay with that. I'll come to defense for you, Mikey. And Millie Bobby Brown defends herself from all of the people online discussing her looks and discusses sort of what it feels like to be bullied by the industry. And Blake Lively in the news, I guess, over claims she is part Cherokee. Now, I don't like to cross T's and dot I's and be nitpicky here, but I'm going to share with you a clip that has gone viral from several years ago where her makeup campaign may be appropriating Native culture. We'll have to see what she has to say about that. And then a Bachelor recap as Grant goes to hometowns and gets to his final three, gets ready for the old fantasy suite. We always love a good fantasy suite. And then we'll discuss the tariffs that have ultimately crashed the stock market today, are going into effect with Canada, Mexico, and China. So we'll have to see what that means for everybody and if the power will be turned off. That's right. A political leader in Canada may be shutting off some power to the United States. I got all these stories and so much more. It's all happening right now on The Rush. Well, let's get to that god-awful speech. Now, some say Adrien Brody is still giving the longest speech of all time. In the Oscars' 96-year history, he actually broke the record 2 nights ago. Here's the moment as he was walking up to the stage where he forgot to take his chewing gum out. So he's tossing it to his girlfriend there. And that's the best part of the speech. And look, I'm not saying this like I'm offended by it. It's like, whatever, it was a fun moment. Not for him. He's looking terrible in all of this. Well, here's somebody who teaches public speaking saying it was the worst speech he's ever seen.
So I had to pull over to say that Adrien Brody's Oscar acceptance speech was probably the worst acceptance speech at the Academy Awards ever. I teach public speaking. I love great speeches. That was an absolute lesson on what not to do if you have to give a speech. I mean,
look, I said it at the same time to my wife. She was in the other room and I was like, this is a really boring speech. It was just very windbaggy. It was a lot of words that just, and again, whatever, what can you do? But the fact that he was then rude and be like, cut the music, that was the part where I was like, okay, bro, it's not like you're saying anything worth saying. And I now wonder, is this what women talk about when they say men have this privilege to just think that people want to hear what they have to say? I now understand, ladies. I now get it. Thank you, Adrien Brody, for teaching me.
It was arrogant. It was disrespectful. It was boring as crap. It was not well written. It was not well delivered, even though he is an extraordinary actor. Don't do what he did. Be respectful. If you're given a time limit, stay as close as you can to it. Don't say, I've done this before, let me just keep going on, when 1 billion people around the world are being bored to tears and you're disrespecting the people who invited you into their house. And also, have a point. Get to the point. Have some variation in your voice. Be respectful and deliver value to the people that you're talking to. He did none of that. I think he hurt his reputation. He hurt his brand. And so just know that you can be a great actor and not be a great speaker, but learn from that and don't do what he does. Get to the point. I'm going to do the same thing and end it right here. Hope this has been valuable.
Well, look, I would share with you the actual speech, but then you're going to unsubscribe from my podcast. Now, look, I've set it up to be like so bad. It's just not good. Okay. And there's nothing about it individually that stands out. It's just a 6 minutes of not good. 6 minutes is a long time, right, boys? I mean, it's a long time for something to not be going well. Either way, here's Mikey Madison. She gave a much shorter speech when she won the Oscar. And I guess some people are saying, oh, I don't get it. This movie's trash. I thought it was a fantastic fantastic movie. She's now receiving some criticism because she won the Oscar when people think Demi Moore should have won. Here's how down-to-earth the, I believe, 25-year-old Mikey Madison is on her first Oscar win.
If I'm not mistaken, you've starred in less than 10 feature films so far in your career. How do you hope this win will influence your career going forward?
I really don't know what will happen. I just know that tonight I'm going to go home to my new puppies and probably, clean up their mess, and it's going to bring me right down to earth.
There it is. She's just like you and I, folks. Her puppies also are not trained. Get those little doggy diapers. So Mikey Madison went on The View to talk about this accent. So she played a character from Brighton Beach, New York, which is a Russian population, and it's a Brooklyn accent, the Russian accent all mashed together. It's very interesting. I mean, to be quite honest, I had no idea she was just a lovely girl from California. She played this role so well.
Tell me about the accent, the Russian accent from Brighton Beach, Brooklyn, which I'm from Brooklyn. I'm kind of familiar with that.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. How'd you work on that?
Yeah, it's a very specific accent, and
it is so specific.
Yeah, it's nuanced too, and so I worked with a really amazing dialect coach, and then I was like, I just feel like I need to tighten it up. It needs to be even more specific. And so I moved to Brighton Beach about a month before shooting and was able to live in that community, immerse myself as much as possible, and just kind of fine-tune the accent. And so when I would be at clubs talking to girls, I'd be like, I love her voice is really cute, or there's this specific tone that she has that I really like, and I'll take that. Or even just learning slang and things like that. Yeah. I was able to just really put together more pieces and get the accent to a place where it felt good.
Wow, such artistry. Yes.
Yeah, because she worked as a entertainer, an adult dancer. So she was going to the strip clubs to sort of learn about the art, as it were. And here is the criticism she received from people saying they thought Demi Moore should have won.
Listen, happy for Mikey. Congratulations to Mikey. I gotta say, though, I'm a bit choked, maybe more than a bit choked, for Demi Moore. Demi Moore was seen as the favorite coming in. There were some signs that perhaps Mikey could take it because Mikey won at the BAFTAs, and I get that. But I just feel like the Academy doesn't like to reward young men. One of the reasons Timothée Chalamet lost is because many people think he's too young, The Academy also, in this category for Best Actress, to me, I'm taking it as what's your problem with older women?
Which, by the way, I reject that immediately. Doesn't Meryl Streep win everything? She's an older lady, right? She always wins. The problem with Demi Moore, if you didn't see this film, she essentially plays a witch. And, her acting, sure, there's a range to it all, but there's a lot of prosthetics. It's a horror film. She plays, different types of characters, but Mikey Madison's learning accents. She's in character. She's doing all these crazy things. So I don't buy it. I think Mikey deserved it. All right. And yeah, like I said, fans are upset. They're upset saying the reason why Demi Moore lost is actually funny because her horror film, The Substance, is essentially about a younger woman replacing her. And there we have a younger woman winning. But not everything's about age. Maybe Mikey Madison just had a better feel-good story and people liked what she did. All right, speaking of young actors in Hollywood, why don't we jump into this? I've got Millie Bobby Brown speaking out about articles written about her looks on a recent press tour. This story next. Now, I, for one, always like people that speak out and fight sort of misogynistic articles or slut-shaming or making fun of people's bodies. So here's Millie Bobby Brown speaking out about those articles.
Hey, I want to take a moment to address something that I think is bigger than just me. Something that affects every young woman who grows up under public scrutiny. I think this is very necessary to talk about. I started in the industry when I was 10 years old. I grew up in front of the world, and for some reason, people can't seem to grow up with me. Instead, they act like I'm supposed to stay frozen in time, like I should still look the way I did on Stranger Things Season 1. And because I don't, I'm now a target.
But by the way, just not to interrupt here, but it's the same thing with everyone else. Like, all of the people I know from high school think of me as I was in high school. You just kind of that's the way you're imprinted onto someone's brain, like who you were when they met you. And of course, she's right. We met her as a 10-year-old. I mean, how old does that make you feel? Because I feel like we just watched Stranger Things 2 years ago.
I want to talk about some of the articles that have recently released while I'm on my press tour, and some of the writers who are so desperate to tear young women down. One article reads, "Why are Gen Zers like Millie Bobby Brown aging so badly?" Written by Lydia Hawkin. "What has Millie Bobby Brown done to her face?" Written by John Eli. Millie Bobby Brown mistaken for someone's mum as she guides younger sister Ava through LA. Written by Cassie Carpenter. Another article reads, "Little Britain's Matt Lucas takes savage swipe at Millie Bobby Brown's new mummy makeover look." Written by Beth Ann Edwards.
So she goes on and just blasts everyone. It's like, good for her, but at the same time, there is an ecosystem of people that are gonna, treat you as a prop, and I don't think it's right. I think both things can be true. That ecosystem is going to exist whether she shames it or not. And good on Millie Bobby Brown for deciding to call attention to it. The only reason this exists is because other actors haven't called attention to it beforehand. And what people want to do with their body, you can have your opinions about it, but in the end, it's really up to her. All right. Well, speaking about doing what you want with your body, oh boy, Blake Lively is back in the news, as she is every day, it seems at this point. Now, in the next video today, I'm going to share Justin Baldoni's response to the New York Times. They, of course, are in their own court case outside of this one, and it's a pretty snappy response. I'll give you that in the next video. But here we have an article by Daily Mail. Blake Lively is accused of culture appropriation as footage of her claiming to be Cherokee in a L'Oreal diversity advertisement resurfaces. Now, I don't know who first broke this story, but they are crediting Stephanie, which is Steph with the deets. Again, I'm not sure if it was broken by somebody else, but she's the person here sharing the story. So we'll share a clip of what she has to say. But the resurfaced video I'm going to play for you right now is on YouTube called L'Oreal Paris True Match commercial. Now, what's interesting is this is from 4 years ago, but there's a ton of videos that have just popped up from 2 months ago, which is quite alarming because why would these videos just pop up 2 months ago if not because somebody wants them to be seen? There's nothing really risque about them other than Blake Lively claims to be Cherokee, and you could argue that her eye color is more brown in one of these videos, which could be alarming if they are trying to, make her look more diverse than she actually is. It's like, wasn't being white and blonde enough for you? And I'm not claiming that she's doing that per se. It could be L'Oreal who's in charge of the color palette changing her eye color. But have a listen to this.
English, Irish, German, and Cherokee. So my family's sort of from all over. To look back far into my heritage and see where everybody came from, it's neat. It's neat to be in this country that has such diversity and such culture. I'm really obsessed with colors, and what's so special about True Match is it works with...
All right, so they talk to True Match, the colors, warm, neutral, cool, they've got it all. And in this other video, they've got Blake Lively here. This is from... I'm not entirely sure if this was from the same campaign or from a different year, because in the first one, Blake Lively was pregnant.
Of all the faces before it, my only makeup, True Match.
My only makeup, True Match. Well, there it is. And again, in this commercial, it says on the title cards, if you're listening to the audio only, English, Irish, German, and Cherokee. But her eyes are clearly more blue in this video. Let me drag over here. I pulled her eyes up. Now, again, one is, guys, to be quite honest, if you've got blue eyes, I'm telling you, they photograph differently depending on the different light. So I'm not blaming her for this, but it could be that the color tone, moving through different saturation levels could be the reason why they appear more blue versus brown in the other. The more sinister explanation is that they were trying to appeal to a non-white audience and trying to have like I'm ethnically diverse and whatnot. So either way, that clip surfaced, and then we've got Stephanie with the deets and her response to the claims that Blake Lively made that she's Cherokee.
Yeah, but there was a lot of backlash back then because people claimed that she was lying. After that ad had come out, a lot of people were speaking out, including Adrien Keene. Adrien is an American academic, a writer, and activist, and she's a citizen of the Cherokee Nation. And after that ad had come out, she had tweeted, "Hi, actual Cherokee here. So a few layers of misunderstanding with this. She's not actually Cherokee. Folks did her genealogy." She goes on to say, main point is that she's not actually Cherokee, and these settler claims over Native identity are dangerous and threatening to our sovereignty. And
now, to be clear and to be fair, and this isn't necessarily a defense of Blake Lively, but I know so many people who thought they had Native American blood in them because before these genealogy tests were done, people would say that, oh, I'm German and Native. Like, people would say that type of stuff. I don't think they were doing that for some sinister motivation. I just think that blame our parents. I don't know. Like, we didn't have the science to back up our claims. Looking at you, Elizabeth Warren, if you know, you know. Either way, so this also proves something interesting, which is that this was 8 years ago. And, part of Blake's claims against Justin Baldoni is that there is this recent smear campaign where everyone's trying to hate me. And it's like, well, you hate to say it, but to be fair, Blake, they hated you a long time ago too. All right, let's finish what Steph DeDietz has to say.
Blake is indeed lying and not part Cherokee and just saying she is. That is Native appropriation. And that's when non-Native people use Native cultures and identities for their own benefit.
Now,
I'm sorry, another ethnicity because it...
The comment section also said, wow, lying about being Cherokee and getting married at a plantation in the same lifetime is crazy work. So there's your Blake Lively update. Listen, folks, I am not here to pile on. We are just putting the timeline together for this sort of case that folks are making online, whether or not they believe she's a good person. Again, hate me all you want, but I think people are trying their best. Maybe not Blake here, but saying she's part Cherokee, I don't know. I don't know what the explanation is. I'm sure her PR people say, you know what, don't bring that up again. But either way, as far as the eye colors being changed and, other accusations people have made is that in one video, her skin color is there to be white. In another, it's a much more sort of like, creamy, darker color. And it's like, look, okay, yeah, people put makeup on. It's like, to what extent, right? To what extent is someone appropriating another culture? I don't have the degree to sort of articulate or prosecute that point, but you kind of know it when you know it. You see it when you see it. I'm not saying Blake Lively's Rachel Dolezal here. I'm not trying to say that. Not at all. All right, well, we got a lot to get into. All right, we got iGate is done for now. We'll have more news when it comes to Blake in the next video. Here's one more interesting part. This was the director and writer of the movie Honora, where Mikey Madison won an Oscar for. They won a whole bunch of Oscars, I think 5. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Writer, Best Editing, and Best Actress. And here, people think he might be taking a dig at Blake. Have a listen.
If you saw that footage, I saved this film in the edit, trust me. That director should never work again. There are 3 individuals who I allow in the editing room. Nobody else, just these 3 individuals, and I want to thank you guys for your emotional support.
So then he says there's 3 individuals I allow in the editing room, nobody else. So again, I don't know if this Blake Lively thing is actually being talked about to this extent within Hollywood. Obviously, everyone knows about it, but is there some sort of beef about allowing people into the editing room? I kind of assumed as editors you weren't, or as actors you weren't allowed, unless it was written into your contract. But I mean, who wants to be in there? It's a long day, just to let them do their work and go eat some crafty, right? Go get your L'Oreal commercial done. Anyhow, there's your update with Blake Lively. Let me know in the comment section if you think that he was hinting towards her or if it was just a random, occurrence. All right, coming up next, I'm going to have our Bachelor hometown recap, and then we'll talk a little bit about these pesky tariffs causing the international trade world to be thrown into a devastating spiral. All those stories next. All right, folks. Last night was hometowns for Grant's season of Bachelor. Can you believe it? I'm not going to do an extensive recap. I've kind of been checked out this whole season. It's been a lot. I've been covering the show for a decade. It's getting boring right now for me. But Grant went to Juliana's hometown there in Massachusetts. And of course, as a good Italian masshole, they went to a pizza place and made pizzas for each other. Very nice. Again, great family, doing good over there with the pizza flipping. That date went well. I will share with you who was sent home, so if you don't want to hear that part, just fast forward to the end. And then Zoe got a hometown date. What's so crazy, I don't know if this is a first, but Zoe gets a hometown date having never gotten a one-on-one. And I have to tell you, and this is no offense to Zoe, I'm not seeing any chemistry whatsoever. This is brutal. I just wasn't feeling it. I kind of feel like she might be a placeholder there. Dina didn't even have her family show up. This is an embarrassment. No families are showing up. Dina's family. The other one's like, I've got my, selected family, which is what you say when you're in a fight with your mom. So anyway, Dina didn't have her family show up. So what are you going to say about that date? She's like, hey, when they let you in, they'll let you in. But so far they didn't. And then we have Latia, and she says, I'm falling in love with you. And of course, she springs it on Grant that she's Mormon, which again, not a big deal, right? No, hey, you want to make sure you're included in the family. The family was sweet. Nothing against the family. I know I have some Mormons in the audience. You sound like lovely people. But, it was only a couple of years ago that they actually let black people into the church. 1978. I got underwear older than that, folks, and I was born in 85. Yeah, that's right. My hand-me-down underwear is older than this. In 1978, it was declared that the restriction was lifted as a result of a revelation given to the church president. Yeah, the revelation was, we're going to sue you if you don't allow black people into the Mormon church. What the hell is wrong with you? But again, hey, yeah, if you've ever been to Utah, maybe they just never met a black person before. I mean, it's a pretty white place, right? So either way, speaking of white people, Joey shows up, and boy, does he give Grant those eyes. Joey, come on, leave a little for the rest of us. Holy cow, get this guy a L'Oreal commercial. And so he says, hey, he gives him some good advice about the fantasy suites and how they possibly could go. And then the women wait sort of impatiently for the rose ceremony, and at the end, we say goodbye to Dina. That's right. Never had a one-on-one date, and Zoe made it to the final. I mean, this is fun, right? Imagine that, your first moment alone with Grant, and you're doing the old, the old horizontal tango, or whatever the kids call it these days. So there's your Bachelor recap, and let's jump over to tariffs. Trump last night said he's going to be issuing tariffs on Canada and Mexico and China. And let me tell you something. I love our Canadian friends to the north. They are nice, but they are not to be effed with. They are elbows up. You got Mike Myers angry. You got the Canadians are. You don't want to anger. It's like when you have that dad who's a nice guy, but every once in a while he loses his shit. That's what the Canadians have done. And here we have Ford, the newly reelected premier, Doug Ford, doubling down on his threat to cut off electricity flow from Ontario to several American states. So again, we might be going back to gas-powered generators if he flips off the switch. Have a listen to this.
If they want to try to annihilate Ontario, I will do everything, including cut off their energy, with a smile on my face. And I'm encouraging every other province to do the same. Quebec, Manitoba, BC, we all have to act in unison. Out east, they rely on our energy. They need to feel the pain. They want to come at us hard. We're going to come back twice as hard.
And you have to realize this isn't a beef between the people of the United States and the people of Canada. This is a beef between policymakers and the Canadian government, who doesn't want to be pushed around. And I get it. What's the point of I understand these tariffs are just going to make things more expensive for us in the United States. Now, Trump would argue, well, the tariff is good because it'll help bring jobs back home. But what they don't tell you is that a lot of these car manufacturers, they'll make a part in Canada, send it over to the U.S. and send it back because you got Detroit right there. And sometimes these cars are sent back and forth 3 times as the parts are made. So again, it's a little bit more complicated than a blanket tariff. And by the time you're listening to this, maybe the tariffs didn't even go into effect. Is he just playing hardball? We don't really know. But I will tell you what happened once Trump announced the tariffs. The stock market took a nosedive. Here's a very interesting clip I wanted to play for you. This is a guy on Fox Business blaming the stock market crash on Joe Biden. Have a listen to this right here.
The Biden economy, what's left of it, looks like it's tanking. Tax cuts and deregulation from President Trump are so important. I sure hope we hear lots about it in the State of the Union message tomorrow. Meanwhile, the stock market down almost 700 points.
So the stock market's down 700 points, and he says, oh, the Biden economy, he's not around. He's been in the basement. You guys voted him out. This isn't the Biden economy. The stock markets are down because people understand that inflation is about to go up because there's 25% tariffs being put on our largest trading partners. Folks, it's kind of important that we don't get gaslighted by the media about what the hell's going on out there. I'm here to share the news with you, and I think we're doing a damn good job. I mean, I'm going to pat myself on the back. I mean, am I being a blowhard like Adrien Brody? Well, maybe. I mean, he got a lot of shit for a 6-minute interview. I'm going on 30 minutes. But hey, you know what? We got a point to this. We're riding it. All right, folks, let me know what you think. I got to tell you, it's been a pleasure getting to know so many of the new people reaching out to me in my DMs, all over. We have a community, Dave Neal's community. It's free on Facebook that you can join. And also the newsletter is available in the description of my YouTube video and in the description of the podcast videos. So you can go check that out. And I'll be posting all my stand-up show dates as they come. The more people that sign up for the newsletter, the more chances I have to perform and can maybe hopefully make you laugh. So if you enjoy what we're doing here, consider signing up for that completely free. And if you want to join the paid community, patreon.com/Dave Neal. I go live every morning, and behind the scenes, you can see how the sausage is made, the revenue sources, negotiating all of the ad deals, all of the business side of podcasting, putting the thumbnail together. I got it all for you right there. Well, thanks so much. We'll see you this afternoon. As always, I'm Dave Neal, and this is The Rush.